What's up, everybody? It's Aaron here, along with Ray again for another episode of Franchise Tagged Fantasy Football Podcast. As always, guys, please give us a like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell so you know when we post a video. We've started the mock draft mini series that's been releasing on Saturdays, going over different draft strategies. But today we're back in the divisional breakdowns, and we're going to be going over the AFC West to start things off today. Some would argue the best division in football. I might agree with them potentially because there is some for sure talent in that division. But as always, how we start the show off. How you doing, Ray?
Pretty good, Aaron. Pretty good. Olivia's getting her ears pierced today, currently right now, as we speak.
She's going to come home mad.
I heard she's okay. Either way, Aaron, I got an important question for you.
What is it?
Best appetizer in the game and where? What do you get?
I read the pre-show doc, so it didn't surprise me. But
No
Southwestern egg rolls from Chili's.
What? These things are gross.
You have no taste buds. I'm waiting for yours.
I'm all about fried calamari. Anywhere I can get it, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Fried calamari anywhere, I'm all in.
No.
No.
Has to be where? Where specifically? Can't just be anywhere.
I'm having trouble thinking I'm trying to think of like which place I actually specifically get them at like all the time. But I'm just gonna say everywhere because I would get them everywhere I go.
You're saying Southwestern egg rolls from Chili's. That's as specific as you can get. Is gross. But
yes.
You would literally go. You go to Miguel's and you probably get a shrimp burrito, don't you?
No. I get the same thing every time. Garbage burrito. Sometimes with the taquito in it, sometimes without the taquito in it. Just depends on how hungry I am.
Stop it. Anyways, guys.
They have it.
Let us know your favorite appetizer and restaurant where you get it from down below. Ray's he gets specific with it and then doesn't even get specific with it. It's rigged, Ray. It's rigged. That's what it is. You're trying to stack the deck in your favor. That's what you're trying to do. But anyways, let's roll into this divisional breakdown here.
You want to start with the Niners or you want me to start with the Niners? I can start with them.
Yeah.
But you know why. Why.
Yeah, I looked. Go ahead and just start.
Look, my love for Trey Lance continues. By week 5, he will be the starter. You can mark it in your books. Remember that little notepad I had y'all pull out a few weeks ago that I've gotten all of those things right so far? Write that one down in there. It's going to happen. So, Aaron, this is something I'd really like to bring up with the Niners. Their whole team is predicated on who is going to actually be the starter at that quarterback position. One of the few teams in the NFL that are like that. And how high would you be willing to take Ayuk and Debo? How comfortable are you having them as, let's say, a viable flex option? I think that's low end.
I think Ayuk is going into like 6th or 7th round.
That's what I'm saying, pretty high. Debo's probably going in like the 8th or 9th.
Debo's going, I think, in the 10th.
I think he went 9th in our last mock draft. But regardless, do you feel comfortable with them as your flex with Garoppolo?
No, because George Kittle's going to take all the Garoppolo targets.
How about with Trey Lance? Do you even know?
Actually, I would be. He both showed sparks of like being good and viable. I don't think that Garoppolo provides much upside for more than 1.5 fantasy options.
Now,
if Debo, this is a make or break year for Debo. If he can stay healthy, he'll be good. He was good the last 2 years before he got injured in each one of them. I do like Debo. I think Debo in the 10th is actually pretty good value.
Only because if he does pan out in the 10th, you probably got a lower end receiver too in the 10th. If he doesn't pan out, then you didn't spend a lot to get him. Ayuk, on the other hand, you got to spend a little bit to get him. I don't know.
He was good last year when given an opportunity. Kyle Shanahan expects a lot out of his wide receivers.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. I mean, he expects a lot. They've both shown that they can be good. But it's I don't know what it is with the 49ers as a whole, but that anyone in that organization, no one can stay healthy.
No. And
Like, legitimately.
Speaking of which, I'm not really high on Mostert, and it sucks because I want to be, and because if you can get him in best ball, that's like the best option of Mostert you can get because he's going to have like 3 games where he just explodes, goes nuclear. But then he's going to probably have like 10 games where he's hurt. Currently, he's hurt. He's already hurt in training camp. So does that kind of raise your little eyebrows, perk your little eyebrows up for Chase Sermon?
No, because Trey Sermon has injury history through college as well. I do like Trey Sermon. I do think that Trey Sermon will get in there and get workload. But a team that's normally riddled with injuries drafted an injury-prone player in the 3rd round at like pick 88.
Yes.
So pretty high value on him. So, I mean, who knows? We'll see. But like you said, literally Mostert will be there and be good when he's on the field, but it's one of those things of who's going to be on the field. I mean, what, last year, Jeff Wilson Jr., who knew who Jeff Wilson Jr. was? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he was a viable fantasy option too.
Yeah, you don't know who it's going to be, and I think that's like the biggest thing with the Niners for me right now is that water's so muddy that outside of George Kittle, obviously Kittle, you get him in like if you're mid-round second on, I think you're fine to take him. I wouldn't take him in the 1st round. I think you can get a better value than George Kittle in the 1st round. But
no, only time you're looking at taking like Kittle or Kelsey, Kelsey in the 1st round potentially.
Yeah.
But only time you're really looking at taking a Kittle in the 1st round is like a 16-team league, like a giant league.
16-team leagues suck.
They're awful. I fell asleep through your draft because it was boring.
It's so arduous to find a team going into that. But all right, so I think that really wraps up the Niners for me. I'm okay with you guys taking Ayuk and Debo later in drafts if they fell to you, especially Debo. But I don't think that Ayuk's going to fall that far. I'm pretty sure he's going to go where Aaron was saying, in the 6th. Not necessarily comfortable with him in the 6th because that means he's probably going to have to be your receiver too. He most likely will have to be. Or
I think
maybe a flex.
I had Ayuk last year on my roster for a little bit. Or maybe it was the year before.
I had Debo on my roster last year.
So I just pulled up our rosters. I have Debo Samuel is still in the IR spot for me because he ended the season on IR. So I don't have to move him out of that spot until we claim our keepers.
That was via a blockbuster trade.
I don't remember what happened, but he was an 8th round pick.
You seem to bring
last year. So this is our league specific to put into context. 8th round pick last year. That means he's right on that borderline of he might be a value, he might not be a value anymore. Do I want to keep him? The way my roster plans out, probably I'm not going to, because I could keep DJ Moore in the 6th, or I could keep Lamar Jackson in the 14th. Even though we've talked about him not having an arm and all. You get what I'm saying? It's just too much value in certain positions to be like, oh, well, I'm going to take Debo in the 8th who has an injury history. When he's on the field, he's great, but are you going to get him all the time?
No, you won't.
So
he hasn't proven that you have. So, and like I was saying, it all just comes back to those waters are so muddy. Even if Trey Lance took over, I would like to see what his tendencies are. Is he more of a downfield thrower in the NFL? Now, I was in college, but that's not the NFL, and that's definitely not NFL talent he was playing against. So he's got a lot to prove, and I don't think I want to take.
Oh, you mean at North Dakota State there wasn't pure NFL talent there?
Don't knock Trey Lance. Don't do it.
Man, just saying.
Don't be that guy.
Just saying. All right.
You're not that guy, pal.
You're not that guy, pal.
You're not that guy, pal.
Where did you hear that?
I heard it on TikTok.
Okay, so we'll talk off air, but it's been going around like wildfire lately. Anyways, so the Arizona Cardinals, they went out and made moves. They signed not only James Conner, but they also signed AJ Green, who's now number 2 on their depth chart.
Mm-hmm.
Who you told me, because I had no idea until I looked at the depth chart, has like $8 million guaranteed to him this year.
It's $6 million guaranteed, $8 million total in contract. in the
What
full contract.
the hell are the Arizona Cardinals doing?
So Aaron came at me sideways saying that Christian Kirk was going to be the number 2, and I'm like, no, sir.
I said, is Christian Kirk the number 2? I questioned
And I
because
said
last year he was, and it's all predicated on the question was, is he the number 2? And if he is he going to take the step forward?
No.
AJ Green is not the number 2 wide receiver on the depth chart after week 3.
If he even plays, who knows?
The man
But-
got peppered with Joe Burrow targets last year, averaging 10 a game and caught 3 of them a game for 17 yards.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Might be time to sell all your AJ Green stock.
Bad move by the Cardinals. Don't draft. AJ Green is going undrafted in almost all mock drafts that have been happening.
Yeah.
I'm holding on to my microphone because I'm like upset about this right now.
If you're in a 16-man league, that's when you can get some AJ Green on your team.
In the 17th round of
Yeah,
your 16-man league.
Because
Most of them don't even go 17 rounds.
I think his ceiling is probably 700 yards, maybe 4 touchdowns. That's a ceiling. That's the highest that ceiling goes. They're not vaulted. That's
I
a
can see
flat
that.
ceiling.
But I honestly think Christian
Got
Kirk
popcorn on it.
Christian Kirk was hurt towards the end of last season. I think that he's number 2 on the depth chart strictly because of how many years he's been in the league. I think after they realize through August and preseason, they're going to realize AJ Green is not there. I mean, granted, 7 years ago, if you said you had had DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green on the same team, like,
And Larry Fitzgerald.
no, he's a free agent.
He's gonna resign for one more year.
He's either going to resign or retire. He's 37 years old.
If they moved him to like an H-back kind of role, or maybe
Stop it. Anyways,
it's crazy that
let's get back
Andy
in.
Isabella was so highly drafted and has done absolutely nothing since being in the NFL.
He's moving into the slot this year to where
Who
Larry was.
cares? I couldn't care less.
I'm just being honest, man. So D-Hop obviously will be great.
Yes. Third receiver, probably receiver 3.
Finishing as the 3
As the
overall
receiver
3.
Yes,
Okay.
probably.
I'm not even gonna ask who you have above him because I already know. AJ Brown, Devontae Adams.
Oh,
Then DeAndre
yeah,
Hopkins.
baby.
I wouldn't go that far. So, like I said, Fitz is still technically a free agent. If he doesn't go back to the Cardinals, I think he retires. He hasn't been fantasy viable the last few years, anyways. Chase Edmonds was set to take over the role all by himself, and then they brought in James Conner.
Do you take a shot on Chase Edmonds?
I think where
How
he's
late
going,
does it have to be?
where he's going in drafts right now, I don't think I like the value. I mean, if you take the risk and it pays off, then great. But if he goes 6th round, I think I might take him.
James Conner, do you want to take the risk?
No, because even if he plays, he's probably going to get injured again and be out. I mean, that's not, I feel bad because, like the dude's a cancer survivor and he's like probably a really cool person and great for him for surviving cancer. But when you're on the NFL field, man, and you can't stay healthy, you're not going to have a job for long, as you've noticed since he's no longer with the Steelers. If he would have stayed healthy for the last 2 years and been semi-dominant, even 3/4 of what Le'Veon Bell used to be, Najee Harris wouldn't have went to the Steelers this year.
I mean, it's pretty accurate. I can't lie with that. I can't deny that. I hate that I think this. I hate it. But I think James Conner has a sneaky little role there. And I think that you could draft him like, super, super late. If he even gets drafted because of Chase Edmonds and how he's perceived as the number 1 running back there. Yeah, it might be worth taking a shot on James Conner at the very back end of your draft.
I mean,
he's being
could
drafted.
be. It could be, but once again, even if it goes into where Chase Edmonds is in between the 20s and James Conner's in the red zone, like something's gonna happen and he's gonna twist his ankle and he's gonna be out for 4 weeks, and he's going to play himself out of a job by playing and getting injured.
Yeah.
That's how it's going to happen. I mean, you can take a shot on him. He'll be good. Maybe you can trade him when he's on the high point. But
Now, let me ask you, how do you feel about Rondell Moore? That's when the situation of the receiving core gets sticky, because they go up and they spend a second-round pick on a receiver, and I get it. Their track record on drafting receivers is not great. But Rondell Moore has to hurt Christian Kirk's stock. He has to eliminate Andy Isabella from any sort of viability whatsoever. Does AJ Green beat him out in camp to be the real number 2 in that offense?
No.
I don't know. Rondell Moore is a talented receiver, a real receiver that, although a smaller guy, so was Andy Isabella. He's
I think you're
a
wrong
lot
on
better.
That one.
What?
I don't
what am I
think
wrong
Andy Isabella is that small, is he? Oh,
I thought he was like, I thought he was like 5'10". Anyways, it doesn't matter.
You're right.
It doesn't matter. Rondell Moore is going to be probably I think, the eventual receiver 2 in that offense. Do you feel comfortable drafting him?
No.
Would you feel comfortable drafting him in the 3rd round of a rookie draft in Dynasty?
Possibly, but bro, he's 5'7", 181 pounds. He's not taking Christian Kirk's outside number 2 spot. He'll take Andy Isabella out of the slot.
Think, like, how long is Christian Kirk's leash? How long is it?
Probably
is it
pretty long. Probably pretty long, because he was not like great, but he was real NFL viable up until he got injured. Fantasy purposes aside, you got to think, we're talking about fantasy football, but as far as the real NFL goes, they don't care. They don't care if you go out and you're a wide receiver 2 in fantasy football. They want production on the NFL field. But if that's 7 catches for 52 yards and you happen to convert, 3 of your 7 catches for first downs to keep the drive alive, you're going to get looked at in the NFL differently than a fantasy football player's perspective.
That's why I think Rondell Moore is going to be more viable for fantasy-wise in this season. I think so, because that's where he's going to be doing all of his work.
I'm not taking dynasty rookie drafts, if your draft is 3 or 4 rounds long, possibly, but I'm not taking a shot on a redraft or a keeper league this year on a dude who's 5'7", 180 pounds running out of the slot for Arizona.
If he were to make it to the very end of the draft, I'd consider it. I would consider it just to see what I had. If it's not anything there and there was nobody else that I really cared about being there, we're going to talk about another guy later, but I would take the shot, I guess. That's the only way I would take the shot. I'm not going to draft him any higher than that. What else you got with the cards?
Kyler Murray. He'll be great. I was cold on him to start out the season. I'm starting to warm on him. I'm not going to draft him where the capital is to draft him, though. He won't be on my team unless it's via trade later in the season.
What, the 4th?
He will be good. Yeah, he will be. But that's just because I'm a proponent of late-round quarterbacks. He will be good, though. Hopefully he doesn't run into the issues like he had last year where the shoulder injury happened and started to degrade over the last, third of the season.
Yeah.
If his shoulder stays healthy, I know he's smaller, but the rushing ability and plus he does actually have a really good, talented arm. He'll be good.
Don't draft AJ Green. Don't do it.
Please don't.
Anyways.
Do it. You gonna go on to the Seahawks?
Yeah, let's see the Seahawks here.
Shout out to Marshawn. They should have ran the ball.
I think that the Seahawks only having 3 draft picks and them going and getting Dwayne Eskridge in the 2nd round as their first pick off the board. Why? Why would you do that?
Their fans were pretty pissed about it too. They said they had 3 picks and you screwed it up.
I mean, I like Trey Brown in the 4th. That's about it.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I really like DK. I think DK has an opportunity to be top 8. A top 8 receiver.
He finished. Was it there last year?
I think it's where he was last year, but I think he has the ability to, well, obviously the ability, but the potential to be a lot higher than that. Maybe even like the receiver 5.
I'd like to see your rankings one day. I agree. He can be a wide receiver 1 for sure. Definitely in the top 10 because he did it last year. Same with Tyler Lockett. He can finish as a top wide receiver 1 for fantasy purposes. They both did it last year. However, with Dangerous Wilson, Russell Wilson. It seems like he always starts off super hot every year, and then the real NFL MVP talk starts happening, and then he just drops off. Like, I don't know, does it not seem like that to you?
I mean, it does, but I think it has a lot more to do with like Pete Carroll and like
I feel that way too.
telling him to kick shit. I don't know.
But that's my thing, though. So you're going to have games where Russell Wilson plus the two wide receivers are setting the world on fire. And then you're going to have games where they just curl up in their little holes and they don't ever come out and see the light of day. Like, that's just how it happens to be. They're very volatile as far as consistency goes. So keep that in mind. But I'm cool with, like, if I have a super stable wide receiver one, like a D-Hop or trying to think, Amari Cooper, I would probably take a shot on Tyler Lockett if DK is not there.
I was going to say,
wide receiver too.
Based on their ADP and like availability throughout a draft, if you have DK on your roster, most likely he is your receiver one. You drafted him to be your receiver one. So to couple him with somebody, I would say like a division mate in Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods would be pretty smart, because DK is going to give you those boom games. He's also going to give you the bust games. You need to get somebody that can at least pick up the pieces when he isn't viable that week. And like you were saying, the volatility behind the Seahawks offense, you don't want to get caught with your pants down and DK not giving you the ball or giving you the points that you need. You don't want that. Let me ask you your temperature on Chris Carson.
So I wanted to touch on this too, right?
Oh, sorry.
You're good. Rashad Penny had minor knee surgery. I think we covered it a couple weeks ago, but he had quote unquote minor knee surgery, cleanup surgery, whatever. He's supposed to be good to go by the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
This his third year in the league?
Third knee surgery?
He came in and 2018 round 1 pick 27 to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
He has played, sorry, I should have had this pulled up beforehand. 2018, he played 14 games as a backup, 419 yards. 2019, he played 10 games, got hurt. 2020, played 3 games, got hurt. And then, this year now he's already started off as questionable tag with minor knee surgery. I honestly think, don't get me wrong, Chris Carson is injury prone too, but I honestly think that Rashad Penny is done in the NFL.
I mean, you got 3 strikes against you, and it's not like Chris Carson has looked like a bum every time he's been on the field. He's looked good.
Chris Carson is a NFL 7th round pick.
Yeah, but he's looked great while he's on the field. Chris Carson also has injury issues as well.
Oh, for sure.
I'm not taking it going into drafts. I'm not taking any stock away from Chris Carson because of Rashad Penny. I'm not, because I don't think Rashad Penny even finishes the season on the Seahawks.
That's what I'm saying. Rashad Penny is coming in undrafted in fantasy leagues. I'm happy drafting Chris Carson as a running back too. That's where he finishes.
I've seen it a couple times where you look at different like fantasy analysts and whatnot. They're saying like, oh well, Rashad Penny, this might be the year or whatnot. I'm not buying that. No thanks. I'm
not if you're starting off the offseason with knee surgery.
Not interested. I would be happy with Chris Carson as my running back too. I don't know if your draft fell to you the way that maybe you went like a no running back, 0 RB. Maybe Chris Carson was your running back 1, maybe, but I think that's still kind of too high for a 0 RB because he's probably going to go in the 3rd round. You're probably
maybe 4th.
I don't know. They want to run the ball in Seattle, so
they want
somebody's
to.
going to be viable.
I mean, yeah, they want to.
Somebody's going to.
I mean, he did get hurt last year too, but it's one of those things. One year that Chris Carson got hurt, it was crazy because he broke his leg. Like, if you're breaking your leg on the football field, you're getting hit pretty hard in a certain way. You know what I mean? It's not an injury that I consider that a one-off season. Whereas like the ACLs, the groins, the hamstrings, those are more consistently. And then if you have one of those, you normally continue to have those.
Yeah.
But I scratched the broken leg year off just because that's kind of, like I said, one of those weird one-off type injuries.
Yeah. Trying to think anything else. I mean, are you drafting Russell Wilson?
And depending on where it goes, So for me in quarterbacks, it's kind of hard because, like I said, I normally don't look at early quarterbacks or where these guys are going. It's your fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh rounds. Normally, I'm not even eighth. Most of the time, I'm not looking at quarterback.
The reason I'm asking is because you can kind of base where he's going to go off. Most likely, he's going to be gone by the sixth round. Most likely, if I had to stamp my flag on something, he's not going to be there past it. Are you willing to take him in the sixth, regardless? Because you're obviously he's the one-off. He's a onesie-twosie player. You're stamping your flag on him, saying that this is going to be your quarterback one through the whole season. Are you comfortable with that decision? I don't think so. I'm not. I wouldn't be.
No. If I had.
Only because of the volatility.
If I had Tyler Lockett or DK, probably just because when they go off, they're going to explode.
Oh yeah.
But then obviously, if you have DK as your wide receiver 1 and he scores you 7 fantasy points, you probably not winning that week anyways.
No, and the only reason I'm saying that is because I don't know if I'm comfortable with the volatility behind the Seahawks offense. I don't know how much Pete Carroll's going to make them run the ball with whoever's toting the rock. And I don't know how much he's going to let Russell Wilson cook. Because when he cooks, I don't really care about the Seahawks record. That dude is throwing 1 billion yards and all the touchdowns in the world, and I'm all about it. But when he's not, and he's not able to throw the ball that much during the game, it's rough. It's rough seas.
That it is.
Their defense didn't get much better, I don't think. Arguably, it got worse.
Yeah, I would agree.
It does kind of bode a little bit more for Russell Wilson getting to be able to throw the ball more because there's going to be a negative game script. I still probably am not comfortable with stamping my flag on Russell Wilson in the 5th round. That's probably where he's going to go, 6th round, somewhere there. When you could get more viable pieces and draft a quarterback later that would probably be similar in the point structure later in the season.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much covered the point on that. So let's get into the most exciting team to talk about as far as offseason moves go, the Rams.
I don't even know where to start.
What do you mean, bro?
I don't even know where to start.
Aaron Donald is the best defensive lineman to ever live.
That's where you start at?
Well, we're talking about the Rams in general, yeah.
You
said you don't know where to start.
Matt Stafford bumps up every pass catcher in that offense by 2 tiers. That's how much better he is than Goff. Yeah, Goff is a bag of buns.
Jared Goff.
Bag of buns.
I would agree. He does give you an automatic uptick. He gives Cam Akers, I believe, an automatic uptick as well.
Mm-hmm.
A pretty big uptick in a good Sean McVay system. But yes, I do like Matt Stafford coming into this. He was a good He was an underrated quarterback in Detroit just because it was Detroit. Now him going to a place like LA where they actually do have a winning organization over the last couple of seasons. It is an auto upgrade. It's going to be an upgrade for him. I think he finishes as a QB1 this year. I think Robert Woods is great. Robert Woods is a undervalued wide receiver. Robert Woods is really, really good. The reason Robert Woods doesn't get more attention is solely because of touchdowns. When you get into the red zone, it's either going to the running back or Cooper Kupp's normally taking most of the touchdowns for them. With having Matt Stafford and being able to throw better deep balls, I think the positive regression happens for touchdown receptions for Robert Woods, and he finishes as like wide receiver 11 to 13 this year. I think he's a fringe 1-2.
What about Cooper Kupp?
He's going to be a good, solid middle of the pack wide receiver too. I think those 2 wide receivers are going to be really well this year.
So right now you have Robert Woods ranked above Cooper Kupp.
For positive, for touchdowns, for touchdown upside.
Okay. I can't really argue that really. It's going to be obviously it's going to be one or the other, but I slightly like Cooper Kupp a little more. slightly like
I'm not gonna be mad at someone if they were.
Yeah.
I wouldn't question. Better yet, I wouldn't question someone if they passed on Robert Woods and then picked up Cooper Kupp later, or took Robert Woods and then took someone else other than Cooper Kupp. I just think my thought process of it is, yeah, Cooper Kupp's gonna score, but Cooper Kupp's touchdowns are gonna be 5-yard touchdown receptions, whereas Robert Woods' touchdown receptions are gonna be 40. 30, 40 plus. And then if you're playing a league with a 40-yard pass catching bonus, a 40-yard plus touchdown reception bonus, plus the reception, plus the yards, plus the touchdown at the end of the season, that stuff adds up and it's higher in fantasy points, obviously.
Yeah. I want to go back into Cam Akers for just a second,
Okay.
just so that I can kind of sum my point on Cam Akers as to why I'm so high on him. So, Sean McVay has shown throughout the entire time he's been a head coach in the NFL that he wants to get the running backs involved in the passing game. You saw it with Todd Gurley. You saw it with the slew of running backs that they've used outside of Todd Gurley. They want to get running back involved in the passing game. Couple that with Matt Stafford, who likes to check the ball down when there isn't something downfield. Now, I do think that this is probably his best overall receiving core that he's ever had outside of just having Calvin Johnson by himself, which is probably better. But Kenny Galladay's a bum. Just hear it from me. He's a bum. Marvin Jones, he ain't that great. So I think all those things coupled together makes Cam Akers so viable just because of how much work he's going to get. If he gets 20-plus carries a game, which I think is going to happen, and he's going to get 5 receptions a game, you think?
So
Is that too much?
I want to bring up a point that kind of solidifies your argument. On Detroit, Matt Stafford made Theo Riddick a viable flex fantasy option as strictly a third down pass catching back, occasionally getting a few rush attempts. So I agree with you completely. Even if it's 5 to 7, if it's 6, we'll go in the middle. 6 targets a game with probably 3 to 4 receptions a game for an extra 25 yards a game for Cam Akers. I think that turns into really good fantasy value, coupled with being the starting running back and getting all the rushes.
I have seen a couple people say that, like, oh, Darrell Henderson's still there.
He is still there.
We've seen what Darrell Henderson can do. I'm not interested, and I don't think the Rams are either. There's a real reason why they went so heavy on Cam Akers in the playoffs.
There's a real reason why how the beginning of the year they went from Malcolm Brown to Darrell Henderson to a little bit of Cam Akers getting rotated in. It's because he needed time to A, acclimate to the NFL, and B, get the playbook down completely, and C, if I'm going to guess, probably work on pass blocking a little bit, because rookie running backs coming in the NFL normally struggle with pass protection. But as you saw, and as you were pointing out, towards the end of the season, once he's had time to get acclimated to all that stuff and learn the playbook and learn how to do it, like you said, they heavily relied on Cam Akers. They drafted the dude in the first round out of Florida State. He had no run blocking in Florida State when he was there. Like, the dude is good.
I will say, just so that we can couple all these positive things we're saying with the volatility of Cam Akers and the fact that he was nicked up all season last season. He was a guy that constantly showed up on that injury report, and that's something that I don't know if that's going to translate to next season. It could. Is he an injury prone guy? Don't know yet, but definitely something to monitor. Definitely something to really take into consideration when you're in your drafts and you are probably on the turn in the second round. That's probably where he's going to go.
I tried so hard to get Ruben to trade me him last year before the breakout.
Guess who's got him now, baby?
I hate you. But anyways, got anything else with the Rams?
Nope, not at all.
Their defense is going to be good again, like always.
I don't care about Tutu Atwell. You missed me with that.
Their defense is going to be good, like always. Sorry, one of the dogs were grunting.
Yes, your defense got a lot better, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to look and see here. Nope, nothing else. So, favorite time of the show for me.
Oof.
Projections.
Let me roll and scroll down here. Let me scroll on down.
Let's start with you and who you think's gonna finish last.
San Francisco, 6-11.
I too have San Francisco 6-11.
I say this
just to put this out here. I put my projections in before, Ray.
I say this only because we've harped on the fact that rookie quarterbacks coming into new systems are just going to struggle. And I don't think that Trey Lance is going to come in here and set the world on fire when he takes over week 5. Remember, write that down. But I will say that they didn't have, 90% of their defense last season?
Yeah.
They're all hurt. Everybody's hurting in San Francisco. Something in the water. But get that defense back. Maybe they might bump up to 9 wins. I'm not too sure. Just really all depends on how long they want to hold out on Jimmy G or ship him out and let Trey Lance take over, because as soon as they do that, they'll be a better football team, I think. Because Jimmy G sucks.
They have a week 6 bye. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that puts you right on pace for that 5 games that you're calling for. The first 5 games, Jimmy G's there. I think that they have a losing record at this point in time. Even the 49ers fans know it, and I'm not trying to dog on the 49ers fans, but every 49ers fan that I know claims for Jimmy G's head every year. Every year that he's been there, Jimmy G sucks. Why did we sign him? God damn it. Gosh darn, he can't stay healthy. Blah, 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 That's all we hear. But I also agree with you. I don't know if it's necessarily at week 5 when he starts. I think it's probably a little bit after the bye. So probably like week 7, week 8. But like you said, Jimmy G taking him a losing record into the bye week, coupled with Trey Lance being a rookie quarterback. I have them at 6-11, like I said, as well. Up next, I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals at 10-7. I think
got them at 9-8.
Do you? I think they are a good team, but that division typically tends to eat itself coming down the stretch of the season. I do think that they'll probably end up making the playoffs at 10-7. Like I said, I think that they're a good team. Kyler Murray, D-Hop, they're going to get it done again.
I'm not sure if they are the second best team in this division. I don't think they are. I still think Seattle probably is.
Yeah?
I still think so. I don't know. I have them both tied. So
do I. And I have Seattle beating them on the tiebreaker for rank. Or for playoff seeding, excuse me.
I don't like anything that Arizona wants to do right now. I hate it all. Just coupled with the fact they paid AJ Green way too much money.
Yeah, I'm a little upset about that. But it's neither here nor there. So you have them at 9-8. I have them at 10-7. Do they make the playoffs for you?
No. Seattle does.
Okay. You don't think 3 teams out of one division can make it?
No. Not this season. No.
Why not?
Because of the extra game. I think it breaks up a lot of other other ties that are going to be in the NFL.
I want to cover this. Right now. So there's 8 teams per conference?
Mm-hmm.
So out of the 8 teams, I have so far 1 from the East, 3 from the West, 1 from the North, 2 from the South. That's 7. So it's probably... Then I'll give 1 to either 1 more to the North, 1 more to the East. But I do think that 3 teams come out of the West.
I can see where you're coming from. I get it, because there's a lot of weaker teams in the NFC right now. I don't think that Arizona is one of those teams that's going to make the playoffs.
Huh?
I just don't. I don't buy it.
All right.
I think the running game isn't going to be good enough. I think that AJ Green is going to be meandering around the field for too long, costing them wins.
We'll see.
Their defense didn't necessarily get a whole lot better, and their defense wasn't great last season, and they lost Patrick Peterson. And I don't know. I'm all out on the Arizona Cardinals making the playoffs. I've talked myself out of it completely.
Okay. Well, Go ahead. Give us Seattle's ranking.
Seattle's going to go 9-8 as well, but I feel like they're going to win the tiebreaker against Arizona, go to the playoffs, lose in the first round, and we don't have to worry about them going to Lambeau.
Well, I have the Seahawks at 10-7. So same with Arizona, except however, I do think they hold the tiebreaker as far as playoff seeding goes, and they get the higher seed in the wild card weekend, as they do. But that's just me. I think that, like I said, I think both of them make the playoffs out of this division, just because, like I said, there are some pretty weak teams in the NFC right now.
I only give the slight nod to Seattle because they're going to be able to run the ball more effectively.
I feel that. And then last but not least, division winners for, I believe, both of us. I have the Los Angeles Rams going 12-5.
I got them at 13-4.
Yeah. It's really weird kind of projecting games with the whole 17-game season now instead of 18 weeks, 17 games, because now it's like 13 wins. Like, technically, that's only 12 wins last year. You know what I mean? It's very doable by most division winners.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have them at 12-5 winning the division. I do think that they're going to have a pretty dominant season, especially with the upgrade at quarterback. It definitely helps.
So I'll break it down why I have them finishing 13-4. Probably second in the NFC. I truly think that their defense just got better throughout the draft. They went defense heavy, and it's only going to get better. Imagine only a couple of those guys hit, but that's all they really need. Couple that with the fact that they upgraded Matt Stafford from Jared Goff. That's a huge move. Now they don't have to worry about if they're down, just so happens to be they're down. They have a quarterback that can drive them back into that game. Matt Stafford is a billion times better than what Goff could ever be. Couple that again with the fact that they're going to have a solidified running game with one running back that's going to have the bell cow role and is actually talented and not Darrell Henderson or Malcolm Brown or the ghost of Todd Gurley. I'm all in. 13-4, and I'm kind of feeling like I'm low.
Stop it.
Low.
Stop it. Anyways, but yeah, I could, same reasons that I'm 12-5. You know, they're an all-around good team, and their defense has always been good. And as you said, the whole simple fact of them upgrading the quarterback position upgrades the whole offense. So, but yeah, anything else on the NFC West?
That's it, man. That's it.
Well, guys, please let us know what you think in the comments. Give us a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Like I said, let us know what you think. And until next time, guys, we will see you later.